Hello everybody, welcome to ProFi Fitness Winter Wellness Week. My name is Sarah Hearn and I will be taking one of the topics today, just 15 minutes, short little burst, to tell you a little bit about how to improve mobility and flexibility. So how seniors can improve mobility and flexibility. Now, in this case, obviously, when we're speaking about seniors, anybody that has any movement issues or mobility and flexibility issues can also benefit from this too. So it's going to apply to a lot of people, not just seniors. Myself at the moment included. This whole current situation, we won't mention it, has us all a little bit less flexible and a little bit less mobile than we would have been before. So a lot more sitting down happening. So for us all, this is something that will benefit. So before I start, I said my name is Sarah Hearn. I am master trainer for My Over 40 in Ireland. And that is a great program for improving your mobility and flexibility. So I might touch on that towards the end. But what I tell you today is going to be part of that is going to be done in that course. And some of it is stuff that you can do yourself. So we'll keep it kind of simple. As I said, shaky camera. As I said, the information I'm going to give is for seniors, but it'll apply to us all. So it's also possible that with poor mobility and flexibility, your balance can be an issue. So just to bear that in mind, if you are a trainer that you're taking clients in and they're in for mobility and flexibility issues or to improve that, then they may have a balance concern as well. So working on their balance and their proprioception is going to be fantastic in making mobility, flexibility a whole cohesive type of program. So when we are doing stretches, we need to bear in mind that we need to take them, perform the stretches with certain things in mind. Okay, so when we're talking about flexibility, we're speaking about stretching to some degree. So when we are stretching, it's very important that we breathe in deeply and exhale slowly during the entire stretch. So you're controlling the motion the whole way through. That's something that I'll go through it when I'm showing you a few bits here as well. But it's something that we don't do very often. We try to move very quickly and we don't take precise movements and break them down a little bit. So that can actually take some of the good out of what we're doing as well. We also want to use slow, controlled movements, so not jerky movements. I'll often see people when they're stretching, bouncing to try and reach, and that isn't the best way to elongate your muscles. Again, I'll put that in brackets, elongate. If you're a student of mine, you'll know that I will debate that point that muscles can't stretch, but it's the brain to body connection that changes and your body starts to adapt to this new movement. So it's fantastic. Movement is great for the brain. So when we move and we haven't any movement that we're not comfortable with doing or haven't done on a repeated basis, so anything new, we start to lay down these extra brain neurons and patterns of brain activity to be able to manage that movement. And that's more brain activity as well. So we're saying flexibility and mobility for seniors, how to improve it, but we'll be also improving their proprioception, balance, and brain activity. So what's to hate about that? So again, slow controlled movements, we want to have control, conscious control over the movements we're making. Also, not to stretch to the point of pain. We only ever stretch to the point of slight discomfort. So you may notice when you stretch, if you try and overstretch, the muscles start to vibrate and hop a little bit. That means that we're going a little bit past the point that we should be at with our stretch, that we're overstretching. So if you ever feel that, pull back a little bit and just stretch to the point of slight discomfort, not pain. One other really important thing that we often forget to do is our warm-up. So when we are dealing with stretches, especially, we need to have warm muscles because warm muscles will respond better to a stretch kind of movement. As with any kind of exercise, with weightlifting, with walking, anything at all, you're going to have to do a warm-up to get those muscles prepared. So it's the exact same for your flexibility and mobility. And we would recommend about 5 minutes of a warm-up, gradual movements, increasing your direction, possibly changing the ranges of motion that are available to you and increasing them with that stretch as well and with that warm-up at the start. So as I said, before we walk even, we need to do those things. So all the things we're going to have a look at today, if you are sedentary, if you are bedridden, you can do some of these. If you are further on now again and we're out walking, we're doing great, we're actually mobile, all of these will be of benefit too. And I'll explain why. When we walk, we would use a very limited range of motion in our body. Our legs will move forward and backwards. Our arms, possibly, if we're doing really well. For a lot of us, we don't use our arms when we're walking, and that can be a start of how to improve your mobility. So moving with your arms is going to increase your torque or your twist in the body and naturally give that little bit of more mobility. If you're walking with your hands in your pockets, not safe anyway, but it keeps a very still upper body. So small little changes can help hugely. We don't even need to speak about stretching and mobility necessarily to start the process here. So let's go back to that. Let's go back to the very beginning before we even talk about stretching, flexibility and mobility. Our posture. So anybody who's a student of mine is going to know my buzzwords here. I have posture, mobility, flexibility. It's going to come up a bit, but they're very important and sometimes very much neglected. So posture is the start. And as I'm sitting here, I sit as we all sit in this hunched kind of position. Now my camera's a bit low, so the ergonomics of my desk doesn't help that. So at home, if you're sitting in the chair and the television maybe is at an awkward angle, it might be forcing you to lean forward. Little things like that you might need to be conscious of, but not to worry. How you sit on a daily basis and how you move on a daily basis can be improved just by little things. So even when we sit and we become conscious of it, we can straighten up a small bit, sit up taller in our chair. To do that, I'm going to need to change my camera height. So again, move your surroundings to help you as well. My skeleton in the back there is terrified about this whole prospect. But so sitting up nice and tall, we can sit at the edge of our chair. I'm on a chair here. I don't want to lose all of my head, but sitting at the edge of the chair, nice and tall, rather than slumping into it, is going to really help with mobility of the shoulder. If you imagine just that alone, when we sit like this, we're reducing that whole range that we should have in the shoulder joint. So if we start to sit a little bit taller, we're going to pull that joint a little bit open more. We're going to stretch those fibers and we're going to have a little bit more mobility. So simple posture to start with. Again, it doesn't have to be all day, every day, sitting up nice and tall, poker straight. But when you think of it, maybe when you're standing making your cup of tea, or if you're sitting in a chair at the table having your dinner, if you're someone who's bedridden and you're out of the bed for a short while and you're in this situation where you can sit tall, take those opportunities. So it's a matter of stacking the joints. First thing we'll notice is that the head will shift forward. Everybody does that. So pulling the chin back, little exercises even, pulling the chin back, drawing it back in. And as you see, as you relax, your head will start to shift forward again. It's natural, it's how we sit. So drawing the chin back, drawing the shoulders back, rolling them outwards so they're not curved in the way. So just a little bit more movement, a taller spine and stacking the joints. So again, the neck, the shoulders and the hips in alignment. That kind of situation to start with is going to do wonders. So just getting that posture started is step one. Step two, a little bit more movement. So a lot of these things I'll say to you today, you'll know them already. Sometimes it takes someone else saying it to go, okay, yes, that makes sense, and give you the push. I train older gentlemen, and one of them brought a story up to me the other day about how his mobility was reduced and that he cycles and he wasn't able to turn to look over his shoulder for traffic. So it made him uncomfortable, and that this situation had occurred pretty much overnight. Being somebody who worked at a desk, he didn't understand, he didn't realize that his mobility was becoming so restricted. This person walks and cycles and still had this issue. So with a bit more movement in our daily exercises with him, literally more twist, following through with a little bit more movement, and I'll show you that. I have a couple of minutes towards the end. pretty soon. But with that, he was saying that over a very short space of time, he was able to twist, look over his shoulder, and have the comfort of being on the road again. It's a huge importance to people to have that amount of movement. And it's not until it's gone and we realize that we need to work on it again. So posture, sitting up nice and tall when we can. Little movements that we can do with the shoulders alone. So the shoulders should be directly under the head, above the hip joint, nice and tall, but we can bring the shoulders, roll them in front and roll them behind. So with my hands, I'm literally bringing them in front and bringing them behind, opening up that chest. This is not something we do very often when we're sitting, when we're standing, or at all. So this kind of movement is going to help open that joint. Again, out to the side and in, and try and keep the joints aligned, hip over or shoulder over hip. And then we can try and see if we can bring that a little bit higher over the head. Small little movements that we're not doing every day is what we need to do, basically. Anywhere that feels tight when you move is where we need to stretch. So when a person brings their arms up to shoulder height and they're feeling a pinch on the top of the shoulder, but they're not getting much movement, there may be tightness in that shoulder joint. And to be able to stretch that out, bring the arm across the body and stretch out those front fibers or outside fibers of the shoulder, one way of stretching it. But again, we are tipping the iceberg here today on what you can do. And as you can see, I have gone through so many little pieces, and each one of those has a whole other story to follow on how you can improve your flexibility and mobility. Start small, keep moving, keep active, get out, do your walks, but try change direction if you can, little things. And as I said at the start, My Over 40 is the program that I work on in Ireland, and that is a fantastic program for developing mobility and flexibility. So if you are looking for direction on how to do that, I would suggest looking up My Over 40, www.myover40, or it's also on the ProFi Fitness School page as well, which we recommend you go check out today if you'd like to learn any more about mobility, flexibility, movement in general, and helping all of us, not just our elders. I started out today with a question, and that was how to improve mobility and flexibility for elders. And the short and fast answer to that: move more, use your posture, use your range. Don't stop reaching for things. Whatever you're able to do at the moment, keep doing it and push it just that little bit more in your comfort zone without any pain, and you can do no wrong there. What you need to do is keep active. All of us are in the same boat there, so don't feel too bad about that. Lots of stretching. If you go out for a walk, make sure you do your warm up first so your body is ready for that walk. And then after the walk, possibly take in a couple of stretches while the body is warm again. All these little tips, add them together and you've got the answer. I thank you very much for joining us today again for the Winter Wellness Week. And I look forward to viewing my colleagues' topics as well. They're going to be very interesting today. So stick with us and come back after the break.